This is one of my favourite stories to tell at the moment, and it's about a loch. It's about an enormous loch, much like Loch Tay. Now, have you heard of the Loch Ness Monster? Yeah? Okay, so the Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, she's quite cute and fluffy, really. Maybe not fluffy, but anyway, she's not that fierce. These monsters, however, that live in this loch are very fierce. They are incredibly fierce, and actually, they look a little bit like aliens. They've got long legs that finish in sort of like hooked hands. They've got enormous round eyes that they can see up and down and out to the sides and left, right, all over the place, all at once. But not only that, they've got scaly bodies, and they look pretty ugly. They've got jaws. Their jaws are twice the size of their head, and they come round and they meet at a point in the front. And with these jaws, they can catch and kill and suck dry of any blood or anything, any of their prey. They're really mean. They're horrible. They go around and they terrorise and they bully everyone. The entire loch is terrified of them. Really terrified of them. And you would think that made them not scared of anything. But actually, there was one thing that they were scared of. You see, over at the other side of the loch, just like in Jack and the Beanstalk, there was this enormous green stem that wound its way up to the surface above, up to the green shimmering light. And there had been more fierce creatures in the past, but one by one they had gone and climbed that green stem, and they disappeared. They had disappeared forever, and no one had ever heard of them again. And so this pack of fierce creatures agreed that they were never ever going to climb that stem. So they ran around the bottom of the loch, terrorising everybody and generally having a great time. Then one day, one of the fierce creatures, well, she started to wonder if the stories were really true. I mean, had anybody really disappeared? I mean, it seemed a bit far-fetched. And besides, she was getting this real urge to go and explore and to go and climb that stem. And she didn't tell anyone else, but she started to move over toward the stem. And soon she was at the bottom of it, and they noticed she'd gone, and they shouted, "No, come back, come back. Nobody ever comes back from up there." But she didn't listen. She just kept going. And she climbed up, until she broke through the surface. And at the top, the stem carried on, and it was in this weird, light, airy substance. And it felt really different, and she felt really different, and she suddenly curled in herself. Oh, everything felt so weird. And she froze. She froze for the longest time, and she didn't know if she was up or down or inside or outside. In fact, her insides felt like they were outside, and she was stuck there. And she began to wonder if all the stories had been true. But then eventually she got the urge to stretch, and she began to stretch, and she stretched, and she stretched, and pop, zzz, she had wings. She flew higher and higher on her wings, her beautiful silvery gossamer wings. And far below her was a pond, and she flew down toward the surface of the pond so she could see her reflection. And there she was, beautiful, sleek, long body, green, blue, glistening wings, glorious, glittering eyes. She was a dragonfly. She was the most beautiful dragonfly in all the world. Oh. And at the bottom of the pond, she could see tiny little fierce creatures, and she wanted to go back and tell them that it was okay to change. But you can't go back. And so she had to leave them to figure it out on their own. She flew off into the sunset to explore the world.